Good afternoon to everyone, to all the participants that are here with us and in the different platforms. And it's a great pleasure for me to be part of this instance. And well, today we're using this intergenerational space, which is spectacular, speaks of uh, human rights guarantees for teenagers and children. And it's part of what bonds us here with the state, and in this links to civil society, to the states, and to teenagers and children, we what am I heading towards? When we had the first SIPINNA forum in 2017 in Mexico City, the same venue that would have been receiving us today, the main objective was to have a space in which a communication, a dialogue is established, and to share good experiences, strengthen the SIPINNAs, the forums, and it's canceled. So this is why we're enjoying these preparatory instances on the way to the fourth forum. What we were left with is in this first forum is a memory that asks us for basis and the way to work within different forums. For example, in 2018, where Uruguay was the venue for this second civil forum, this SIPINNA forum, and it left us with few things to work on. Then in this year that everyone remembers, 2019, for the pandemic and every shift in communication we have had, we had the third forum virtually in this intergenerational dialogue. And we had a summary, and all this dialogue, we had a compilation of these three. So we need to highlight that all the participants that have intervened or have been part of were agreed upon the importance of following up on these issues nationally and internationally. So it allows this monitoring, this following up on the commitments that we assumed, of course, within children and teenager, strengthening toward the state in an inclusive sense that we can observe in the definition of the SIPINNAs in themselves, to promote and protect children and teenagers' rights. This is also good on an international level as a product of an honest exchange, intergenerational honest exchange, in which we can have the pilot experience and the challenges that we have not solved yet, but it is with the objective of strengthening ourselves collaboratively. And also a very important role in the development of the states. Regionally, when we promote these rights, the objective of this commission for following up of the recommendations of the different SIPINNA forums is basically to talk about these recommendations, these work documents, number them and work on them. So it is a proposal is that from each state, an integrant and an alternative person be involved there, and the children and teenager groups to be involved as well. One of the person that is integrating this commission is the one that is in the commission of of the same. So we want to make a calling of to have 2 yearly encounters twice a year. And also within the functions of the commissions, there's an inner norm book and something that we will consider a roadmap to follow. And we will have regular formats available within the social societies, civil societies, sorry, and to have information that we can look at that has to do with updates and that it has to be available as well for children's and teenager groups and the groups of children and teenagers participate. This will be put into consideration by the COI within an internal with their internal rules. With this, we have to propose, we have to contribute on the thesis in general lines, a proposal of creating a follow-up. So of course, in the thematic axis in this fourth forum, we understand that the subject is much more ample. It's not just one proposal. What we look to do as Mexico, Paraguay, Uruguay, to have this subject, this proposal as an idea of cooperative work with the same actors that we've been working with, to be able to comply and follow up seriously all the agreements and all the documents that we've been working out on during the last 3 forums. Now, I would like to salute officially all the people here, and particularly the teenagers that will be working with us in this subject in particular, to whom I also invite to be able to participate, telling us about your impressions on these regarding this proposal. Hello, I'm Carrie. Uh, I'm part of Rednias and I'm from Peru. For me, the commission for follow-up, it's very important because it can contribute to create a new culture, a new generation, to transform positively society and promote collaboration and dialogue. It also generates mutual learning between different generations. It allows for an exchange of knowledge, and joint participation can break through a society and cultural bias that already exists. It can generate creative and innovative ideas and promote and strengthen communication links or bonds and, and social cohesion, solidarity as well. And it can lead us to build more inclusive and just community. And our participation, it can lead us to deeper understand democratic justice values and how it can work with institutions and the importance of involving ourselves with society. Further participate. Thank you very much. Yes, we completely agree that this is a promotion of exchange, dialogue, and joint knowledge. And this is what the different forums have been about, and the main objective stated in the forums as well. To promote participation, to promote this space in which we can share our opinions our experiences. I'd like to know if there's anyone else that'd like to speak about what Carrie just shared with us.
Perdón, no comprendí. ¿Ahora ya es el momento de intercambiar con el
I'm sorry.
adulto o esperamos primero con los
Now
adolescentes?
can we as adults speak, or do we it's for the teenagers? This is for the teenagers.
Diana, por favor, adelante.
Hola, muy buenos
Diana,
días
please
a
go ahead.
todos. Soy Diana y represento a
Good
Rednías.
morning to everyone. Once again, I'm Diana, and I represent Rednias.
Yo propondría que las reuniones
I would
de la comisión
propose
sean
that the
inclusivos
meeting
y accesibles
of
para
the
todas las
commission
edades,
be
teniendo en
inclusive
cuenta
and
las
accessible
necesidades de los
to all ages,
participantes más jóvenes y mayores,
full
que haya una participación
participation,
equitativa y asegurándose que todas las acciones
and ensuring
y
that all
recomendaciones de
the
la
actions
comisión estén
and
basadas
recommendations of the
en la
commission
Convención
be
sobre los Derechos
based
del Niño
on
y que
the
haya un
Convention of
ambiente donde
Children's
nos
Rights,
sintamos cómodos
and to
compartiendo
have an
nuestras
environment in which we
experiencias
can be
y
comfortable
escuchar
sharing our
activamente a
opinions
los
and
niños y las
experiences,
adolescentes
and to
para
actively
poder
listen
comprender
to
sus
children and
necesidades
teenagers
y sus
in order to be able
preocupaciones
to understand
y
their
garantizar que las
specific needs,
recomendaciones derivadas de los
and
foros
to
cívicos
guarantee
sean tomadas en cuenta
that
y se traduzcan en acciones
the
concretas
declarations that
y
come from the
políticas
forums
públicas efectivas.
be
Y además de dar
used
seguimiento a los
in
foros
order to
página
make efficient public policies,
monitorear
to follow up
el
also
seguimiento
on
de la
the
implementación de las
SIPINNA
recomendaciones,
forums, and to
al
monitor
progreso y la
this follow-up
implementación de las
to
recomendaciones de
progress and
mesa.
implement the recommendations.
Perfecto, Diana,
That's all.
muchísimas gracias. Creo que los
Perfect, Diana.
aspectos
Thank you very
de
much.
la
I think that
accesibilidad para todos, la participación
the
equitativa,
accessibility
la
aspects,
información
equal
adecuada
participation,
e igualitaria de todas las
proper
opiniones recabadas
and
en
equal
todas las
centralization of the
presentaciones que se
opinions
vayan a realizar en estas reuniones, que se estiman y realmente
that
las
we've
estima
been
la Comisión Intergeneracional y la experiencia que
encompassing.
merece. Así que me parece
I think
muy
that's the
bien y le
spirit of the
felicito a todas las
international forum.
personas
I
integrantes
think that's
y
great. And I
especialmente
send out an
a los
invitation to all the people
tienen,
that
así como Diana,
integrate this
algún
space. If you
planteo de
wish,
propuestas para
you have the wish
fortalecer
the
esta
same as Diana
participación de la
to
comisión, bienvenidos.
contribute to
Este
strengthen something
espacio
that
estaremos
strengthens the recommendation from
más
from the commission.
preparados para hacerlo en el
Please
cuarto
welcome, and
Nuevo
we'll
León
be
Forum.
more
Acá
than prepared to do
seguramente
so
habremos
in the
acordado
fourth Nuevo
de
León Forum,
plantearlos, pero
and that we
sí
can
invitarlos a llevar una propuesta a Nuevo
state
León.
this, but also to come up with a proposal
Tengo a
for Nuevo
Melissa
León.
y a Gilmar. Melissa,
I
adelante.
have Melissa here. Please go ahead.
Muy buenos días a todos nuevamente. Bueno, yo considero
Good
que la
morning
comisión
once
está
again.
avanzando y ya
Well, I
que
consider
se necesita
that
un seguimiento de las recomendaciones establecidas de foros anteriores
we
para
need to
que estas
follow
sean
up on the
mantenidas
recommendations of
y que
the
futuramente la
other
comisión se
forums so
asegure
they
que la
will be
aplicación de las
maintained through
recomendaciones
time, and that they
bueno,
will
basada en
ensure
la
that
promoción y
the
protección
application of
de
the
los derechos de las niños
recommendations
y adolescentes sea aplicado
in
correctamente.
the
Por
protection
eso
of
que yo propongo
children's and
que
teenagers'
haya
rights to be
representantes en la comisión
implemented
de ambos
correctly.
géneros
So
para
that's why I
garantizar la
propose that there are
participación en los foros
representatives in the
cívicos
commission of
de la
both
implementación
genders
de políticas
to
públicas que fomenten la
follow
inclusión.
up on the recommendations of
Es por
other
ello que
SIPINNA
en este
forums.
espacio de la comisión propondría que
And
para
in
las
this commission
constituciones
space, I
de
would
los países
propose that
participantes
per
haya
country,
16
that
adolescentes
6 people
de ambos géneros
and 6
y de esta
adults and
forma
6 teenagers
se conglomere
from
una
both
organización
genders
adecuada y
be
eficiente para poder discutir
uh,
de forma equitativa
conform
las políticas
an
públicas
institution so they can
marcando un
distribute
marco
evenly
jurídico de
public
tomar en cuenta
policy and
para
maintain the
poder
normative margin
definir
that
diferentes
must be
estrategias de cómo
followed
implementar y
up
cómo proteger
on,
los derechos de los niños y
and
jóvenes
to implement
adolescentes.
different strategies
Esto con el fin
for
de promover un espacio integral donde estos niños y
children's and
adolescentes
teenager rights. This is with
confianza
the
para
ends
exponer sus
of
ideas y propuestas para el
promoting
fortalecimiento
this
del sistema de
space
protección
for them
integral
to
y que los mismos
expose
sean
their
fuente de
ideas,
conocimiento de profesionales,
and
revisores
the same
y marcos
ones
normativos básicos
from
para
professional
acompañar
knowledge
en la
to
reforma de
go
la
over
legislación nacional con los estándares internacionales de protección de derechos de los
normative
niños.
frameworks and work hand by hand with the human rights institutions and follow up on the recommendations of SIPINNA Forum, as well as to maintain the rights of teenagers and children and follow up on the recommendations from the third SIPINNA Forum. Another recommendation, the people with public offices to set up these offices in which they do not only talk about this, but to apply nationally and promote on a national level the implementations and have a social contract that will eliminate privileges, less social spending on from children and teenagers. So I further elaborate on this recommendation from the third forum. And also that we use technology to promote information access for teenagers and children outside the Commission, and to be conscious of the actions that the Commission is implementing, and to have a space where they can share their opinions and that they have access to internet to be informed of the issues that are important for them, also for them to have a voice in these spaces, such as the effort to further train teachers to promote digital means as well. So that is why it's essential, an efficient participation from the state and teenagers and children to have the same kind of participation. That's what I would propose here. Excellent, Melissa, to incorporate. That's a spectacular summary of the different agreements and that we have to follow, have a proper follow-up on these subjects, the importance of awareness, the awareness of inclusion, and it's a basis of all this work. Please go ahead, Hilmar. Thank you. I think the girls have summarized this wonderfully. And I think that the commission subject is very important. My name is Mac Delgado from Ecuador. We belong to the organization to RENIAS, I think that also to what Diana said on the commission. And I think this has to do a lot with the involvement of the institutions and the government's interest to generate an effective cooperation within civil societies and government institutions. I think it's essential to complement the policies and mechanisms directed towards children and teenagers. The assigned resources for them to be specific, pertinent, and not even be moved if there's a crisis, as we have seen before. If there's a sanitary crisis, sometimes they take from their projects to solve other problems. But I think that these resources belong to us as a right, and they must not be moved. And the way it's advancing, it's also a critical factor to evaluate if these recommendations from the forums, if they're having a positive impact on children's lives, on teenagers' rights. I think that's the biggest purpose, because if not, I think that all these resources that have been invested in these forums are in vain. I think that all these recommendations, we must follow up on them in a structured and specific manner. And this might involve key indicators related to health, emotional well-being, which is very important in the current moment, and other relevant aspects. It's important to mentioned that these kind of recommendations can be gradual. We have to be realists as well, and that there are a lot of other factors that come into play such as political factors. Nevertheless, to implement effective policies could make the difference in the well-being of teenagers and children. We might have different issues that might affect the progress of the compliance of these recommendations, but there is an effective policy implementations if it exists, and it acts specifically, pertinently, and to have an institution that implements this, that would be a good strategy to comply with these baseline recommendations. So thank you very much, and I invite everyone to dialogue, to implicate themselves in dialogue. Once again, we see the national and international aspects coming together, and to be able to strengthen individually each state, and also to be able to move forward and create a shift through cooperation and have an honest institution or an honest space or platform that allows people to express freely. And the spirit of all this is what brings us here. Why do we have a specific objective of following up? I think all these aspects, each recommendation, we worked a lot to follow up on it, and we need a seriousness in following up on it as well. So I remained with all of these recommendations that Himar mentions pertaining to the roadmap. And it's great because we're constructing this roadmap through all the people involved here, the teenagers, of course, that are in the intergenerational committee. So thank you so much, Himar, for your comments. I have other people here that want to speak.
Por
Please go ahead,
ejemplo,
Diana. For example, we were mentioning the participation, equal participation within the countries, but what happens when the country representation is only from one gender? Well, this is something we need to speak more about, to see in what way we can comply with the equitable sense issue. And without a doubt, we will need to work on this during the fourth forum to guarantee gender equality. I would like to mention, forgive my throat, I have a sore throat, but I'm also the representative that is selected for each country to also be elected by the political leaders. So, or to have to do with force ask from the political leaders to follow up on it, not just that this exists. No, that the representative of the international forum that follow up on the compliance of the recommendations and to represent and make sure that the country has the knowledge of this representative that is demanding the compliance or implementation of this. I also identify with, I have an opinion or a proposal for myself that it be two representative per country teenagers from both genders. So both genders have a representation. And I feel that gender is very important, the gender issue. That's my recommendation. Thank you very much. Without a doubt, and once again, the participation in gender equality is vital. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Monica?
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Mónica. También soy
Hi,
parte de
good
Red
morning. My name
Niños,
is Monica. I'm also
y
part of the Red News.
igual me parece muy
The same as
importante
many of my
esto de la
peers.
rendición de cuentas de todos los sistemas de
I feel it's very
implementación,
important
que esto nos
this
permite ver
to
un poco cómo se están promoviendo sus programas, la implementación. Todo esto nos
find
permite
the accountability
conocer
for
realmente
these
más de sus
organizations.
acciones
And
en
all
cada
this
uno de los
allows
países. Vemos
us
que el funcionamiento
to
o la
see
organización
their
es
actions.
diferente. Entonces,
In all
cada
countries, the
uno de nosotros como
organization, they
niños
work
y adolescentes
differently.
nos interesa mucho esto
And each one of us as children, as teenagers were very interested in what in accountability, in holding
Muchísimas gracias, Mónica, por tu
the organizations accountable. Thank you very much, Monica, for your words, for your participations. Without a doubt, is something that we need to keep in mind. Accountability for the concrete actions that are being
Bueno, sí, buenos
implemented.
días nuevamente.
Well,
Entonces
yes,
decía para la comisión
once again, I would
presidente
suggest for the commission
representando el país, ya que se necesita
that
una
6
diversidad de opiniones en esta
teenagers
misma comisión
come
y
together
también
so we can have a diversity of
puntos
opinions
de los
within the
presidentes y
organization as well.
representantes.
As,
En verdad se
as
necesiten
6
estas
adults from
discusiones que se están
public offices
hablando en esta comisión
so
y
they could
realmente
get involved
realmente
in the
sea
discussions of the
visible el
commission
cambio que se está
and
intentando realizar
truly
en los
make
países.
this
Asimismo,
change visible in the
eso podría
countries, as
tener
well
en
as
cuenta otras
I
poblaciones
will
durante la formación de
suggest
la comisión.
that
Por
other
ejemplo,
populations
personas
be
que estén
taken
sujetas
into
a
account. For
discapacidades
example,
como los niños,
people
que normalmente son los que más son propensos a
that have
recibir violencia cuando tienen este tipo
that are
de
disabled because they're more vulnerable towards violence when they have this kind of characteristics. So I would propose that these subjects are also looked into and to truly listen to the voices of these children and teenagers within the commission we are proposing, that they are truly listened to, that they are like one more member in this commission to follow up on the forums and to promote an equality sense and to follow up on this. And it has been implemented since the first SIPINNA forum. I hope that in this same commission, it's still respected.
Muchísimas gracias, Melissa. Sin duda que la inclusión abarca
Thank you very much,
muchísimas cosas,
Melissa.
existen
Without a
distintos
doubt, your rendition
tipos de
spans so
accesibilidad a la
much
información también, y
of
es algo
different
que tenemos que
kinds of
trabajar
access to information as well. It's something we need to work on
Creo que estás trayendo temas
very,
importantes. Daniela.
very strenuously. I think you're speaking about very important subjects.
Gracias, Mariana. Sí,
Daniela, thank you, Mariana. Well, yes, to speak about the recommendations that children and teenagers are making in this idea of conforming this in intergenerational committee. I think that in the memory of the different instances of SIPINNA's forums, what's in the declarations, in the summarizes, in the work documents, they are reiterative. And this is because many of the challenges of the systems and subsystems of promoting rights, regretfully, are still knotted, and we haven't been able to unknot them. The lack of or difficulties of articulate institutional works to guarantee children and teenager rights. There's still no clarity. And to mention a few examples, they're just recommendations that have been made through different parts or actors of the systems, and they still have no clarity. And this is because it's not just a technical issue, but also it's a political issue. And I think that to conform this follow-up commission, without a doubt, and in consonance with what the children are mentioning, is also it's an international, but also a national issue. We have follow-up commissions, for example, for the third forum, Pan American of children and teenagers, where we also, when they were held, we had some work documents we generated as well, and we are willing to share all the learning and challenges that we have identified and share them with this work table with adults and
Muchas gracias,
children
Daniela. Sin
as
duda
well.
que va a ser un insumo
Thank you very
preciado
much,
para
Daniela.
poder ejecutar esta comisión intergeneracional.
In order to execute this intergenerational
A tener que plantear
commission, and without a doubt,
en el momento de planteo
what we will do in this fourth forum,
Así que
where we formally
sí coincidimos
issue
que hay aspectos que aún faltan,
our
legislativos,
proposals, and yes, there are some reiterative aspects and elements that, including in the present moment, the teenagers are once again putting on our table. And yes, I'm convinced that this commission will precisely shed some light on all these subjects
para poder empezar a trabajarlos y darle
and to identify the knots,
a todas estas
to untangle them and follow up seriously on all these actions.
Diana.
I have Diana and Georgina. Please go ahead, Diana.
Sí, otra propuesta que traía
I have another
es
proposal,
solicitar el apoyo de los gobiernos para los
and it's to ask for the government support
Diana, ¿me escuchás?
Sí, ahorita
Diana, can you hear me?
¿ustedes me escuchan?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me now?
Si pudieras retomar desde ahí.
We heard you up
Sí,
to
solicitar el
government
apoyo de los
support.
gobiernos para los niños
Well,
de
to ask for
discapacidad
government
mental
support for children and teenagers
para no quedar
that are representing in the commission.
Tengo a Georgina, adelante.
Okay, so I have Georgina. Please go ahead. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, congratulations to the children and all the people that have been in the interventions. Well, I can see that in the different interventions, they have identified precisely how this commission must be. And I think that they have given us great contributions from who, or what, and how it should work. So I think that we have very valuable contributions. I'm from the Red de Infancia en El Salvador, and we represent this space from Guatemala to Panama. We can see that the added value of this fourth forum precisely is that this forming of this commission, that the forums before did not have it. We've been following up on the forums up to this fourth forums, contributing with the methodological sense. And as Fernando was mentioning these days, I think it's been a very powerful and significant work, and it has also allowed the participation of children that we didn't have in the first forum. So I do believe that we have been having certain changes, and I think that precisely this added value will be the most significant item, and how this role contributes. It obviously will depend precisely. Let's remember that there are roles, specific roles here. One of the role from the state is from the states, another from the civil society, and in this case, the role that the protection instances play as main guarantee, and in this sense, it will depend a lot of this on this political guarantee. We also need to be reminded of the political changes that occur in the countries. And obviously, we need all this gradual process because obviously it will be significant, meaningful, because each country will show us how we're advancing. So we participate in the initiative of this follow-up forum,
Gracias, Georgina. Sin duda, los
commission
aportes
for the
de
forum,
los y las
because it will guarantee us moving forward. So thank you very much. All the contributions have been especially significant, and they're talking about how they imagine this commission working, and not just a roadmap, but how to conform it. There's a lot of work ahead of us, and for myself, I congratulate them all, and I also want to read what Diana wrote in the chat. She says, to ask for the support of the government for children and teenagers to be representatives in the commission and have support, besides having some live encounters. And also, the proposal in itself, the document, it states that we may have some virtual encounters and live encounters as well, but within the frequency that we said, and do we have the need of establishing, making them more frequent? We can also evaluate that. This means that not everything is exactly as it is. It could be more frequent. It can adapt to certain situations. These proposals that we are conforming, and it's part of a bigger subject as well. Well, I have Carrie and Martha here. Carrie, please go ahead. Well, in order to complement this and the help that the states need from the representatives, also the budget for the children's and teenagers' participation is almost none. So we need a specific proposal to promote the participation of the children and teenagers. Because sometimes they say, okay, we'll set a budget up for that, but then there isn't one. And sometimes it comes from other things, and we might lose the budget on health and, well, basically, we need a specific budget to promote it and to participate within the country, in the region. And this is what I mentioned. Thank you very much, Carrie. Yes, the budget is, we have it in some of our items as well, and we need to follow up on that because we can really have a grasp on what it requires in order to guarantee this participation. It's fundamental. Thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute in this space. Quite simply, I joined the words and to elaborate a follow-up proposal. It's something very important in building SIPINNA, building it up to be stronger and to have a concrete follow-up to see what things we need to keep on working on, what things we need to correct, what things we need to potentiate, because we're taking a huge step in this moment. So I would quite simply like to add upon the spirit that I hope will
la conclusión de esta estrategia que
be
es
alive in
un
this,
proceso de
the conclusion of this
construcción de un
strategy.
Estado social
It's
sostenible.
a process
No un
of
proceso
joint
simplemente
construction with it,
para valorar si el Estado
within
tiene bien o
state and
hizo mal, sino que el
civil
Estado puede
society.
construir
It's
juntos y
not to
mejorar
examine the state
quizá
if
uno de
it
los
did it
aspectos más
correctly or not.
importantes
It's
del
to,
seguimiento que
it's a
permite cambios
monitoring process.
beneficiosos
It's a
para el
follow-up
nivel
process to
como un
improve
apoyo,
things for the
como una manera de
state to
mejorar
look at it
y hacerlo
as
de esa manera
support,
porque
as a
eso va a
way of
generar un beneficio
improving.
para todos, para el
And to
propio
do it
Estado,
this way is, of course,
la
a
sociedad
benefit
civil y para
for
los propios
everyone, for the
niños y
state,
adolescentes.
also for society,
Felizmente
but
hogar, niños
for
y
the
niñas
children and teenagers themselves. So I
y son parte
congratulate
de la
you. And
participación de los
of
niños.
course, I think it's very important that the children and teenagers participate in this process. Thank you.
Perfecto, Marta, muchísimas gracias.
Perfect,
Bueno,
Marta. Thank you very
tocando también
much.
el tema de los roles
Yeah,
y
so
de la participación en
the
este proceso es
roles
fundamental
and
para nuestra empresa,
participation
porque
is
el
fundamental
espíritu
to
claramente es la
be to
construcción
keep in mind, because the
de
spirit
positivos y
clearly is
conjuntos,
the construction of positive,
trabajando de manera
of
colectiva
joint
para
action,
acuerdos que sean
and to be
realizados
able to work on it
entre todos
collectively
los participantes que
and
estuvieron
have
activamente
agreements
trabajando en
that
los
have
meses
been
anteriores y es lo que se espera
reached
ahora en
collectively as
marzo.
well.
Bien, me gustaría saber si algún participante
Well,
quiere
I would
hacer
like
alguna
to
anotación,
know if a
opinión
participant would like
respecto
to um, further contribute
a esta
something, make a proposal, if they want to comment. Alberto, please go ahead. Thank you, Mariana. Well, first of all, to thank Inao for proposing this subject in this occasion. When they proposed it, we received it with very good eyes, because with this, we were closing on the intentions we had in this forum in Mexico, which is to lead this forum and to institutionalize this forum and to involve everyone that promote teenager and children rights. In this sense, Mexico supports this instance, and I also thank you for all your contributions. And I think you have set all the important subjects on the table that we have foreseen in the previous conversations, or we thought we had contemplated many things. But I believe that, well, you always open up the horizon for us. So we are very grateful for all your comments. And in this same sense, I believe that what's next? To consider this proposal with what you've already mentioned and what has been said today, but also to continue with the proposals. One of the tools that we've been implementing in this forum and this edition is to have a repository, a drive in which we can share any kind of document that we want to share that has to do with subjects that we go over in the forum, experiences from your countries, comments, and we will further nurture that with other proposals, as well as the proposals that have been stated today, so we can further dive into the dialogue on the creation of the commission. So just to once again thank you for this and to come up with this space, and that this space help institutions and states to unblock for all of us, and to congratulate you on this proposal. And from the states, I believe we have these punctual proposals.
Gracias, Adalberto,
Thank you,
por tus
Mariana.
palabras, sin duda alguna. Desde los estados
Thank you
tenemos
for your
una tarea que nos
words.
estamos
Without a doubt,
llevando
within the states, we have a
y
lot of
sin duda para la
work
evolución hacia
that
este
we're going to
foro
take home. And without a doubt,
surge
reflecting upon this fourth forum. We have to reflect upon this fourth forum. So, in the composition of the documents that are found here, go ahead. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. Precisely here from Monterrey, Nuevo León, in which we will meet within a couple of months. Of course, we're very excited to be able to have you here, and we're getting everything ready for this to be a wonderful forum, a successful forum, as all the other ones have been. We're very excited in creating an intergenerational committee. I think it's vital for us to be sitting at the same table, all of us. And I think that one of the very important parts that this forum will leave us with is to visualize where are we in this path and all the protection systems in the different states. I'm sure we have each have our own pace, including within the country, within Mexico itself. We have different paces and different efficacies of the different protection systems. So I think it's very important that we all know where we're at and to share good experiences and follow up and help you with your experiences. I think it's a huge challenge, of course, to understand that the protection systems have to do with an interinstitutional coordination. It's a huge challenge because we still have a perspective of one office that only does certain needs and guarantees, and this transversal rights concept, I think it's the biggest challenge we have. We have political issues, budget issues, but to set it on the table, talk about it, and have the authorities present, I think it's going to be very important here in Nuevo León in Mexico. We will do our best for this to be listened to by those that need to listen to it and the decision makers. So in this sense as well, I want to congratulate you as well. I'm very excited to hear the teenagers and children here. We'll probably see you here as well. And we will also have a probability that you will get together with young people from Nuevo León that were seeking that they come on board as well, and they share their point of view with us. What is most interesting for me in the logic here, that we see the possibility of making a proposal, perhaps in an incipient matter, to mention a mechanism in which all these teenagers, all these young people that will be participating, that we have a single organism for them to permeate this with their peers. You as representatives of the teenagers, you have to further transmit this to your companions through the logic of the institutions, and especially the ones that that are about the rights. So once we have the agreements, how you will voice these agreements with your companions, with the instances, the institutions in your states, because that's how we can have a real guarantee for these processes and commissions. So welcome to Monterrey. I tell you beforehand, we'll see you soon here. Thank you very much. Without a doubt, children also have a lot to contribute to this roadmap within their imagination and how they should be speakers. So there's a lot to build on. So thank you very much for receiving us in Nuevo León. It's a pleasure. I'd like to have a small parenthesis here. And they said, Rednias, we feel very happy to be part of this space. Every opinion is important. We are happy to be listened to as part of this commission. Thank you very much for all the comments, as well as the ones that are coming in through Facebook and different platforms. So I would like to know if any participant would like to contribute something more further.
algo que quieran complementar acerca de esta propuesta.
If there's something you would like to complement this proposal or a final thoughts on this?
Buenas, Luisa Plata de Honduras.
Good afternoon, this is Luisa Plata from
Pertenecemos a un
Honduras.
programa global que
We belong to a global
formado
program that's
por organizaciones en Bolivia,
formed
en Guatemala
by
y en Honduras.
organizations in Bolivia, Guatemala, and Honduras.
¿Verdad?
Well, just to comment,
Son muy importantes estos
we're grateful for this space. These spaces are very important. These
para nosotros,
encounters
de mucho
prior
aprendizaje,
to the
¿verdad?
forum,
Poder
for us,
compartir y
is
aprender
full
con
of learning,
ustedes, pero
to be
sobre
able
todo
to
de
share and
ustedes,
also learn from you, but overall
que hoy nos
from these
han
teenagers
mostrado y nos han hablado de
that
su
have
corazón.
illustrated us today and
Gracias
spoken
por
to us
ese
from the
por
heart.
compartir. Créanme que
Thank you for
nosotros sí
that. Thank you for
aprendemos de ustedes
sharing.
también,
Believe
pero
me,
sobre
we
todo
do
por
learn
esos
from you as
mensajes
well. But
también que ustedes
moreover, these
desarrollan
messages that you deliver,
alinearlos en sus vidas. Lo importante es que también
that it has caused
en ese
you to
espacio que tendremos aburrido,
communicate in your lives,
¿verdad?
that you take your time to share it with us in these boring adult spaces.
Ver esa experiencia de ustedes,
Because in this
darse
way, it's
cuenta
truly
su proceso
participation to see your experiences and to
compartir.
be
Gracias
to
por el
listen to
espacio,
you,
chicos
to
y
your
chicas.
experiences in these spaces.
Estamos
So thank you,
pendientes de lo que sigue.
guys and girls, and we're
Muchas
here
gracias,
for
Luisa.
whatever's next.
Muchísimas gracias
Thank
por
you very much,
participar.
Luisa. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Capaz que para ir cerrando,
Well,
una reflexión final.
uh, to conclude, any final reflection thoughts, please go ahead. I would like to thank you because these spaces also allow us children to feel that our rights are being executed, and also the articles of the conventions for children, that we have a right to participate. And in the 16th objective, it's also mentioned that it promotes just and fair societies, and it considers the significance of children and teenagers in decisions that involve them, that at the end they will have that. There are some that promote certain education. Well, we want to be part of it. We ask so much. We decide what's being asked from us. So that's what I wanted to
Excelente, Carly,
mention.
muchísimas gracias. Sin duda,
Excellent, Cari. Thank you very much. Without a doubt, have an established right and to enjoy your rights. And definitely we're all involved in this commitment for you to use your right to participate amongst other rights. I would like to thank everyone for their comments. All the contributions are very constructive, so I congratulate all the participants. I am grateful for this space to participate and to be able to share opinions, experiences from children and teenagers to generate a generational change. Greetings from Ecuador, from Forza Niña movement. We hope to be able to share more soon. Send you a big kiss. Thank you for your comments. So if we can sum it up, if it's okay with you, your contributions have been very enriching. I leave here with, and I'm very happy because this was my first experience in this role. And without a doubt, you made it very, very agreeable. And if someone wants to begin closing up with final thoughts.
parte, cerrar con algo que dije muy al
Well,
pasar y sabía que
for my part, I will conclude with something I
creo que
said
pase un poco desapercibido. Cuando hablé de los objetivos del primer foro,
when I spoke of the objectives of
hablaba
the
de la
first forum
recuperación de la necesidad
in
de la
2017. I was
construcción
speaking
de
of the
espacios
need
intergeneracionales,
to
espacios de escucha, de
come up with
participación activa,
transgenerational
de experiencias
spaces and active listening
en aquel momento
spaces with good practices. And in that moment, it was an objective, and today it has been completed. So to follow up on all this, it's very important, and all the agreements that we have been celebrating here. We are here united, thinking of, as Luisa stated, it's so beautiful to make up a table in which we can all navigate together, not just in the forum, but in these preparation modalities, so we can all work together and come up with truly dynamic proposals and internationality. And your, most importantly, your participation for you, the teenagers. I thank you very much. It has been truly an honor.